Hello, welcome to the Scale Modeling Cafe. Welcome to part one of the new project. Trying something out with the microphone up here. Hopefully that's going to clear it out the way. We'll see how I get on with that. Anyway, if you haven't seen one of these before, part one of a project is where I take you through the box, the contents, the aftermarket, some of the options I'm thinking about doing, sort of markings options, and hopefully conveying what I'm aiming to achieve with this project. If you, and I'm going to start a new thing that I don't normally do, but I'm going to start doing it now. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free. It strokes my ego somewhat if you click that button. But more importantly, though, than my ego is it'll appear in your subscription feed. If you want even extra notifications, you can click on that as well. I think we all know how it works, but some people said if I mention it, give it people a little bit of a nudge, even though everyone knows how YouTube works. That might help. You can also hit like as well. That will help pushing it out to more modelers, and I really like to kind of increase my footprint, range. Be nice to get some more views and bring this to some more modelers. Right, there we go. All that crap's out the way. Let's get on with the meat of this part one then. This project, as you saw by the thumbnail, is a conversion of this kit, the Tamiya Spitfire Mk.XII, using this, if you can see that. I've got all my stuff in the way. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. The Laminar Flow Design Mk.XII conversion set. Now Matthew, who is Laminar Flow Designs, full disclosure, he sent me this as a bit of a review sample. And I wasn't going to use it because the Mk.XII, I thought, well, it looks a bit stumpy. It's a very short production run. And I kind of dismissed it, really. Very nice of him to send it through. And I have done a full review of this. I'll leave a card at the end. The reason I'm building it is twofold. One, I am intending to do the Mk.XIV. I'm also maybe going to do the, well, I am going to do the low back. And I might even go full hog and try and do that as an 18. But that'll be a project for next year. And it would be a good introduction to using the Laminar Flow Designs conversions, because this is very simple. The nose just plugs in on the front. There's a few bits and pieces around the bazaars, but the meat of it really is the early Mark V all cooler, which it's just literally one or two cuts and a drop-in replacement, and apparently it fits beautifully. So it'll be a nice introduction before I go down the full hog of doing the Mk.XIV. The other reason is, the more I looked at it, the more I fell in love with the Mk.XII. That short, stubby but stocky nose, I think, makes this aeroplane look really muscly, especially with the clipped wingtips. More of that in a minute. And it just all of a sudden just leapt out of me and really, really appealed to me. And I'm actually really, really excited about the project. Now, one thing Matthew doesn't include in this are the wingtips. And those of you with this kit will say, but Jamie, the clip wingtips are in the kit. And that is true. But the Mk.XII had different clipped wingtips. There were no lights in there, and if you look at them, they're a different shape and they're very much blunter, whereas the standard sort of Mark V, if you like, wingtips sort of are sort of more sort of that shape. These are sort of much blunter. And I think what I'm going to do is I will slice the full span wingtip down, and then I'll fill the middle bits if need be. It might be solid piece, I don't know. And then I'll just reshape it. And I think that's going to be the easiest way. I bumped into a bloke called Dave at the Lincoln Model Club, who'd built one of these and some of the Mark 14s as well, and he said, "Oh, I'll just get some thick plastic card and stick it on the end and reshape it." But one, I don't have any like uber thick plastic card, so I'd have to laminate it, and that's always a pain. And the other one is, I think I could just, like I say, just slice the kit wingtips, standard wingtips down. I'm going to throw almost everything at this kit aftermarket wise. I want a real super detailed kit. I'll take you through the massive pile of stuff that's on the bench here. And I'm going to start off with some Barracuda sets. Roy Sutherland, Barracuda Studios. He's a real Spitfire aficionado, and he's got loads of sets, and I'm using pretty much all of them. First off is one of his newer sets. This is 3D printed. Everything else is cast. These are replacement control columns. They are much more detailed than the kit ones. And if I'm going to do a Mark 14 and a Mark 18/14 low back, I'm going to have enough for each project. So that's really good value. You get 3 in each set. This one is the starboard cockpit sidewall. It is for Mark 8, 9 and 16, so it might not be hugely accurate, but what it will have is a lot more detail, a lot more wiring on it. Well, I do have the Valiant Wings book. I will be looking at that and comparing it to this, and if it's worth using this, I will. Otherwise, I do have another option. But I'm not overly bothered about accuracy in the cockpit down there, if I'm honest. It's going to look really busy, probably busier than the kit part, and that's good enough for me. If it's not strictly accurate, I'm not overly bothered, if I'm honest. I've got a seat as well. The advantage of the seat is the back pad is beautifully moulded and cast. You get stitching detail, all the creases, and it really looks quite sort of puffy, if that makes sense. Whereas the kit one is relatively smooth and flat and a bit bland. This really takes it up a notch. So I got that. It is going to be a bit difficult removing it from the casting stuff without breaking the supports. That's going to be a bit trick. But once it's done, yeah, it's going to look great. Yet another set. This one is the Snapshot upgrade. It's designed for the Revell kit. So it does have both lower cockpit sidewalls and loads of other gubbins, and also a full set of stencils. Now, I don't know how much or if any I'm going to use with this set, because this is delving into his massive pile of aftermarket goodies. I've got this one. This one is the Snapshot upgrade set, but this is for Revell Spitfire Mk.II, and it says Fitz Hasegawa and Trumpeter 2. So there's extra bits in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of them, and just to see what I can get. I've also got some of I'm saying it a lot, aren't I? I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be fluent. I've got up there the Mark 8 Tamiya Spitfire with Matthew's Mark 14 conversion set and some cockpit detail parts, which I'm going to look at using as well. I know the throttle quadrant looks beautiful in that. And yeah, with all these bits, hopefully really dress up the cockpit. I've got some other bits for the cockpit as well in a moment to show you, but not Barracuda. I've got Roy's door as well. These are beautifully detailed. They're really thin, and they look great. I've used these in 48 scale many a time, and I'm really looking forward to using it in 32nd. I've got some wheels. These are the Spitfire 4-slot main wheels. I don't know whether I'm going to use these. A lot of the Mark 12s had that sort of disc cover thing over the top, and I'm pretty sure you get that option in the kit. I need to have a look at the references for the aeroplane that I'm going to build, more of that shortly, and then I'll make a decision if I'm going to use these or use the kit ones with the solid hub. The solid hub thing, I think, might be photo etch in the Tamiya kit, in which case I could use these and use that photo etch over the top, or I could just use the kit option and save these for the Mark 14. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. I spoke about Cockpit Details, and I have two sets from Annie's. These are the line connectors and the line connectors T-type. If I'm going to dress up the cockpit with some wiring, which I'm going to do, then these might be really useful to add that extra layer of detail. Rather than just having the wire sticking into the black box or whatever the detail bit is, if I can bung a connector on the end, it's going to add that layer of detail, add that layer of realism, I guess. Not used these before, they look incredibly fine, and we'll see how we get on. Ugh. More resin. Now, one thing that might be missing from the kit, it's certainly missing from the Barracuda sets, are oxygen hoses. They are included in the 48 set, and there's that big blank panel where the oxygen hose sits, and the resin fills it up really nicely and adds that sort of layer of busyness, if you like. Might not be in these sets. So what I've got is from Bob at MDC, flexible resin oxygen hoses. I've used these before, 48 scale ones in the Fairy Fulmer project, the Trumpeter 48 scale kit, and they did make a real big difference actually. Just that added, like I say, it makes it look really, really busy. So I've got these, looking forward to using these. And the advantage of these is I can take it all the way back to the oxygen tank, the sort of black one that sits over the pilot's right shoulder behind the frame. Master barrels, I think these are a must really for me anyway. They're not a must for everyone, but they're a must for me. The advantage of these is robustness, because I've got to get this model back to the UK and I've got to get it back in my suitcase. I do package it nice and well. I'm going to do a video on that at some point. But yeah, so these are going to be a lot more resilient. Also, there's no cleanup required at all, because, you know, even Tamiya, there will be a slight mold seam running down the side of them. The disadvantage of this is the paint adhering to them, but I'm going to use some VMS 4K metal prep, which is absolutely superb stuff. That's going to really help, and they're going to be primed. And yeah, big fan of these. I do have a Red Fox instrument panel. This is for a Mark 8. Clearly not a Mark 5 instrument panel, but I might be doing the version with the Mark 8 fuselage. More of that later. Therefore, I've got this. These are by far my favourite 3D printed instrument panels. They're printed on acrylic. They're not decals. You literally peel them off and stick them on. They're beautifully printed, beautifully detailed, and they are my go-to. If I can get Red Fox, then I will always use these as opposed to the decal types. But yeah, like I say, I don't know whether I'm going to use this or not. If I do the later retractable tailwheel version, then I probably will. If not, I might just use the kit version, modify it, and use some decals. Maybe not. We'll see. If not, I'll definitely use it in the Mark 14. No, I won't actually, because I've got a 3D printed instrument panel for the Mark 14. So I might well use this just for the sake of using it, even if I do the early version. Again, apologies for accuracy. Okay, 3D printed rivet decals. These are from Quinta. I've got two types. These ones are 0.2mm and a 0.8mm gap. These ones are 0.2mm with a 0.8mm gap. They're the same. Although these are black and these are silver. These look and feel a little bit more prominent, the black ones. Right, if I do the early versions with the fixed tail wheel were based on a Mark V. Therefore, the rear fuselage had domed rivets. Therefore, really, strictly speaking, what I should do is fill the rivets for the Mark VIII and apply these. If I do the Mark VIII based variant, it means I've got to convert the rear fuselage into a retractable tail wheel. That's going to be a pain in the arse, but it's going to be good practice for the low back Mark 18 or 14. In which case I won't need to use these at all because they were flush riveted. And yes, there's dimples on this kit, so strictly speaking, I guess what I should do is fill these in. But yeah, I still haven't decided on which way I'm going to go. But in case I go down the early version and in case I do have a rash of inspiration, I've got those. Talk about that in a minute. Right. Because that's about the painting. Okay, I've got some HGW seatbelts. I don't have any for a Mark V. What I do have is one for Mark I, which would be very, very similar to the Mark V. And I've got the set for the Mark IX. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. 2 seatbelts in this. 1 set of seatbelts in that. I can't really see too much of a difference other than the Mark I has like an extra strap in the middle. So I'm kind of leaning towards this one. This one though has got sort of the separate, the brass holes that the harness hook thing went into. These are separate, so they're going to look stunning if I can do them nice and neatly enough. This one there's a set of internal and external canopy masks as well. I don't know which one I'm going to do. I need to do a little bit more research and then make a decision. But if I'm going to do the flush riveted retractable tail wheel Mark 8 fuselage one, it'll be these. I've got another set of canopy masks inside and out. These are from ASK or ASK. This manufacturer are my favourite manufacturers of canopy masks. They are superb. Inside and out. It looks really silly, I think, if you just paint the outside. So you paint it the interior colour first and then the exterior colour. But I think it looks really weird, especially in the bigger scales where you've got you'll see the sort of paint on the other side of the thickness of the clear, and it just looks really odd. And I only ever do that if I'm going to do it with canopy closed. Clearly, on this model, it's going to be canopy open. Especially with all the investment in the extra detailing, and therefore I've got these. Whichever set I use, the other one will be used on the Spitfire 14 conversion. I got some top-notch camouflage masks. These aren't cheap. These are £12. My plan of action using these is I'm going to paint probably the ocean grey first, and then apply these masks, and then very lightly do like a mist coat of the green, take the masks off, and then do freehand camouflage for that really kind of soft edge. Yes, I could put these on with a bit of blue tack to raise them off the surface, but I do prefer doing freehand camouflages if I am honest. And yeah, I thought I'd give those a go. Okay, finally, the last bit. And it's these one-man army masks. Now, these are definitely not cheap. These are £24. But these are masks for all the stencils for a Mark IX, and the roundels, and 2 Mark IX aeroplanes. So you've got Johnny Johnson's JJ and there's DNT as well. Clearly, I'm not going to be using those bits, but I bought them for the stencils. I hear great things about these. The only thing is, clearly, this is for a Mark 9. I'm doing either a Mark 8 fuselage or a Mark 5 airframe, but close enough for government work. For me, I know that the Griffin engines use 100 octane fuel. I need to check to see that stencil that is just by the fuel filler cap over the fuselage fuel tank. I need to see what octane fuel is in here. I'll probably use this anyway, even though that might be wrong. But there we go. I'm hoping he's going to do a Mark 14 set, because that would be ace. But hopefully I can use these, reuse these on the 14 that's up there. Looking forward to trying these for the first time. Finally, I've got to the end. There's two options in the conversion set, which is hidden by the microphone, so sorry about that. There we go. 41 Squadron and 91 Squadron. 41 Squadron has the retractable tail wheel and has a cool little sort of Ace of Spades thing just beneath the windscreen on the left fuselage half, forward of the door. The 91 Squadron has Nigeria written in sort of script on the fuel tank and has the fixed tail wheel, and that's option B. I don't know which one I'm going to do. I'm leaning towards the fixed tail wheel, the early version, if I'm honest. Even though this is a kind of not a practice run as such, it's a full-blown project, as you can see by the amount of aftermarket, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready to start cutting up the back end. Now, I did inquire about buying the Mark 8 sprues just for that retractable tail wheel from the importer, but they will, because that little mini sprue is attached to the fuselage halves, they'll only apply the whole thing, and that was £25. And actually, I'm not sure it passes, for me, the cost-benefit analysis when I can just do the fixed tail wheel version. If it was a tenner, then I probably would have gone for it. But they wanted 25 quid, and I'd end up with a set of extra fuselage halves that I don't need. So I gaffed that one off. So, as I said, I'm leaning towards option B, which is 91 Squadron with a fixed tail wheel, the earlier version. But we shall see. There we are. What's that? That's 23.5 minutes already. But, as you can appreciate, that's an awful lot of stuff to get through. Thank you very much. Well done for making it this far, if you have done. If you've switched off, you're not listening to this anyway, but I really don't blame you, because this is a long one. As I said right at the beginning, like, subscribe, and all that kind of nicky-nacky new, because it will really help me, and it will help to get this project out to many more modelers who indulge in YouTube videos. There we are. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Next up is not going to be the cockpit. No, this is going to start with the airframe and the prep. And I'm going to launch into the wings first. There we are. Unconventional. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in part 2. Cheers.